Good day, everyone, and welcome back to the Coaching Observer. Today, it's time to look at what's happening this weekend. And the match I've selected is none other than South Africa versus Ireland. One of the biggest pool games that we're going to see at the World Cup. And for me, this decides who's going to end number 1 or 2 on the log. So I don't think Scotland's going to give Ireland a go. That's the only one I'm not taking into consideration at the moment. If South Africa win, I'm pretty sure we'll end first on the log. If Ireland win, I'm pretty sure they will end number 1 on the log. What does this mean? That means the difference between playing New Zealand or playing France in the quarterfinals. So how the way the pool works and those stages work, 1 plays 2 and 2 plays 1, obviously, with regards to those 2 pools. So it's quite big for us. And with regards to preparation, it's always nice to end on top. There was that statistic before 2019 World Cup that if you win all your pool stages, you'll generally win your World Cup. There has never been a World Cup team that lost a pool stage. And then South Africa 2019 kind of defeated that purpose. From what I heard, New Zealand is trying to take on what we did in 2019 after losing their open and not lose up until the final again. So let's look at the type of things I'm going to cover. Firstly, as I always do, I want to look at what the attack is, what the defense is, those type of strategies that both the teams will follow. I'll also be looking at maybe a few selection errors or a few selection, that's up for debate still for both teams, and what we can expect. I have heard that Rassie might want to do a 7-1 split again. Something else I'll be talking about is key positions, in my opinion, again, and then we'll end off with a prediction. Once again, hopefully it's similar to my Fiji-Australia prediction. Let's see how that goes. Let's dive in, guys. So first thing I want to look at is what are the possible lineups. I'm not going to go through it position by position, but there's a few things I'd like to chat to you guys about because these are detriment to the selection by coaching staff, why they would select them, and what type of impact are they going to have on the game. So firstly, we know that South Africa has been experimenting quite a bit, especially around fly half. Manie Libbok is a phenomenal strategic player, and the way he attacks, I think it's very diverse. We don't know what to expect, and it's a fun brand of rugby. Looking at this past weekend, starting Willemse at 10 and even giving Faf a go at distribution, it's interesting to see the type of options. I've also heard that Andre Pollard is back into the mix. I don't think that he'll even show up this game. I don't think he's going to be part of the selection, even if there is a 6-2 split or a 7-1. I don't think Pollard is the guy that we're going with. We need to allow him to come back into the game, although Tonga is quite a rough game to come back into it. And I'm sure we'll see him again in quarterfinals or in the playoff stages. So firstly, South Africa will, in my opinion, go again with Libbok at 10. The big dispute is at 12. Personally, I think Esterhuizen has played himself into that position over Damien Delendi. No matter how much experience he brings, I think Esterhuizen is just the guy that we need to go to at the moment. 13 is the interesting one. As much as we are enjoying Moodley at 13, I think that Jesse Kriel will start at 13 again. He is the first selected outside centre, and I think we'll probably start off with him. Wings, I know we have a lot of wing options at the moment. I think we're going to go with our strongest suits, which is Cheslin Colby and Arendse on the wings. 15, although I think Willemse is a very good 15. When Willie is on form, he's really on form. So I think they'll start Willie Leroux at 15, despite that he didn't have the best game against Romania. On the side of Ireland, guys, I think something that we have seen time and time again is Johnny Sexton, despite his age, they really rally off of him. So no matter what's going to happen, I definitely think Johnny Sexton will play almost the full game or as long as possible at 10. Bondi Aki at 12, it's quite mirroring the two teams. Bondi Aki is also, just like Esterhuizen, very physical. He's actually been really growing as a player, despite how old he is, despite how long he's been there. For me, the lead up on the World Cup and the World Cup itself now, he's really expressing himself freely. He's attacking so strong. He's explosive. He's enjoying his game, and you can see it as well. Now, the other thing I want to just look around selection is At wings, they've had phenomenal wings in James Lowe, and also the one wing who was Australian, who came across now, is scoring left, right and centre over the last weekend. So I think these are some positions or some selections we'll be looking at. The other thing that's important to me is definitely the loose trio. I think we'll be seeing Peter Steff, we'll be seeing our Sia Kolisi as captain again, and I'm hoping that we see Visa at 18 instead of Dwayne Vermeulen. For me, in my opinion, once again, is Dwayne Vermeulen is kind of a has-been. Even if I was watching the Romania game, he's just a bit offbeat. He's just not there in time. He's a bit slower than what he used to be. Still physical, but not as physical as 2019. So I hope we see Visa over there. I think he played his way back into that team. Also, a few things I've read, although I don't know if it's clickbait, Etzebeth is up for selection again, which will be great for us in our physical dominance. And then on the side of Ireland, if we're looking at their type of loose players, we have O'Mahony, who's just always phenomenal for them. And we also have Van der Vlier on the other flank, who also just brings those same elements. I feel that both the teams mirror each other quite well with regards to positions. Obviously, we'll see how they play and what the different strategies that they're going to do. That's the next thing I'm going to dive in, right? So first thing I want to chat to you guys about is attack. What's the type of differences we can see on attack? Now, traditionally, both these teams really enjoy the air ball. They both have wingers who are really phenomenal in the air, both defensively and on attack. And I do think we'll be seeing a bit of tennis on Saturday night, where both these teams will just be doing a bit of a territory type play. I am expecting a very low scoreline in the first half, maybe a 6-3 or a 3-3 or a 6-6. So below 20 points on our first half, because I think it's a territorial battle. And once teams feel that they are in the correct territory where they want to, they'll launch. It's a maul, or it's going to be a certain tap and go play, or we'll see the scrums. And for me, the set pieces are screaming in my ears this game, because at any line out, at any scrum, this is going to be the real clash of dominance, the real, can you get a little bit ahead of the other team and can you launch from there? So on attack, looking at set pieces, line outs, both teams phenomenal. Scrums is going to be, I think, just a deadlock. I think balls are going to go in and out. Scrum's not going to move much. We just need to see what happens after the scrum. Now, as we know in South Africa, and similarly to Ireland, the first phase play is generally off 12. Bondi Aki is going to run it at the man. He's going to try hit a gap. He's going to try get 3 or 4 meters, go forward. Same on our side. If Estrazen starts ahead of Damien, same thing is going to apply. Even if Damien plays, our first phase ball is going to come off 12. If it's off a line out, if it's off a scrum, I'm very sure first phase ball hits that 12, hits the line, and then we're going to launch from there. Are we going to box kick? Are they going to box kick? Are we going to do some high balls from 10, which we did this previous weekend as well? I think that's the second phase of attack. So from our big carry into an air type of play, I think that's what we're going to be looking at. Both teams, once again, are great on the cross kicks. So let's say off first phase, we have a penalty advantage. Again, I'm 99% sure we are going to get a cross kick, and then it's an aerial battle between the two wings and who can do what they need to do best. And is there a try going to come from that or not? If not, the entire first half, any penalty, pretty much anywhere in the half or even just beyond the half towards the 10, we are definitely seeing 3 points. I'll be very surprised if we see a try or even 2 tries in the first half. It's just going to be a territory game. Looking at the type of things we can exploit, the big differences between Mani Leboka and Johnny Sexton. Johnny Sexton is extremely confident in his kicking. He's extremely reliable. So what that means is we know what we're getting from Johnny Sexton. We are getting a fixed point. We're getting someone who's distributing where they need to. He doesn't mind taking it up to the line. We know he enjoys tackling. Well, he definitely lives up to his tackling expectations. So I think that we are more looking at what are the play of Bondi Aki off that first phase. Is he going to offload? Is he going to use his feet? What's going to happen? And then for me as well, especially on the Irish attack, is James Lowe is a massive factor to me. He's also a bigger wing at the moment. He's fast. And I don't know if you've realized this, but around the rucks, he's quite a menace. He has scored 2 tries in the World Cup build-up where he's sitting around the fringes. He'll pick up the ball and he goes straight through the middle of the ruck. So I just hope that South Africa identifies this as a threat. And whenever Lowe comes into a ruck, we're trying to close down that space where we need to, and we don't allow him around there. The other wing, and he has gas, he has good feet, and he's busy gaining a lot of confidence. I think he scored 2 or 3 tries this past weekend against Tonga, and I think he's just been phenomenal, and they're going to use him. I think something that Ireland does, which I have spoken about, is that type of roll-on attack. We've seen them play short balls off of their shoulders, and then suddenly there's that overlap. And then they use the James Lowe and the other wing on that attack, and they use them as much as they can, and they enjoy creating that one-on-one or stab kicks through. However, I don't think they'll do a stab kick as much on us. We do have generally more speed than any other team that I've seen with regards to our back three. Willie Leroux also very strong underneath a high ball, despite his weird little knock on after he wanted to try pass against Romania. I think that they will be testing him a lot. They will be creating pressure on those high balls, but I'm pretty sure that South Africa will deal calling with that. Now, how is South Africa going to attack? Again, I feel it's quite mirrored. I think first phase ball is off Estrazen or off Damien. However, where it changes quite a bit for me is Manie Lebok is an X factor in my opinion. Manie Lebok can kick, he's going to pass, he can run at the line, he can use his feet when he wants to, and something that South Africa love doing is working back into that blind space. So often you'll see 1 or 2 phases toward the open side of the field, and suddenly Manie feels something's on. Willie Leroux links brilliantly on this as well. They feel something's on the blind. And I'm telling you, 80% of the time, it's the left-hand side of the field. It's not the right-hand side of the field. They want to play back into the area where Siya Kolisi sits on the tram and he has his winger on his edge. Siya has really become a phenomenal player on how to really attract different defenders and put boys into space. So please watch how many times we come back into the blind side after we've played 2 phases into the open field. You will see Lebok coming around the ruck, or definitely Willie coming around the ruck. The 9 will play them, or 9 will play 10, 10 will play 15. 15 will give it straight to Siya Kolisi, and then Kolisi's got 2 options. I also enjoy this on attack. Kolisi can run towards center field, right, and then he's got a wing on his outside, or he's got Willie running very quick on his inside. One of the tries may come from this. I can already visualize it. I can see Willie Leroux getting the ball on the inside, and we have phenomenal 9s who love running a support line. So Kobus Reinach did it brilliantly. Faf does it as well. So from Willie, he's got 2 options again, probably going to go to a 9. I can see one of our 9s scoring a try off of that type of move. So yeah, like I said, South Africa likes using that blind space. Something else we love, as we know, we love our stab kicks through. I mean, who didn't see Lebok's no-look kick? And also, never mind that it went through social media. I think it takes a lot of confidence, a fine line between cocky and confident on that one, but I think he definitely owned it. It was pinpoint, good try. Arends has yet not to score a try in a match that he plays in, so I definitely think that's an X factor they need to look at as well. A big difference between our wings is both our wings are light on their feet, quick on their feet, love changing direction, right? Where the Irish wings to me are a bit heavier, contact central, and they do have speed, but not too much in my opinion. So yeah, look at these elements for attack. I think that they are similar in some aspects, but there's key differences there that both teams will utilize to be able to maybe try and get an advantage over the other. Next thing I want to talk to you guys about is the defense strategy. So it's not going to take me long because in my view of the game, both teams adopt the same defensive strategy. And that defense strategy is just straight line speed. We have seen South Africa completely kill space with regards to line speed, and we generally cover the spaces that open up with that type of line speed as well. South Africa works extremely hard on the line, but a small detail I want to really place and emphasize for you guys, and something that in my opinion made us win the 2019 World Cup, is we do not press as one solid line. We would like to press, and our defense presses in the way that we funnel players back into the forwards. So you will see 12, 13 pushing a lot harder than 10, right? And what this does is suddenly Johnny Sexton on the ball will maybe not want to play Aki or not want to play the 13, switch back inside towards his forwards and play that inside channel. Why does South Africa want that so much? Because, well, not Marks anymore, but the Vissers, the Peter Steffs, the Dwayne Vermeulens, Siya Kolisi, even Steven Kitsoff at the moment, we are there ready to jackal the ball. If you don't know what jackling is pretty much when a player is contesting a tackled player and he's trying to get the ball to go either to get a penalty for his team, right, or just to turn the ball over in general. South Africa did this brilliantly. I hope Kwagga Smith gets some game time, because against Romania, I think I counted more than 6 turnovers at the right place at the right time, and he's brilliant at that. So I think South Africa are quite specialists at the jackal. There are other teams who can compete, but it really puts us above the rest, because we don't only have 2 or 3 players who are doing it. We have 5 or 6 or 7. I've even seen backline players stick their head in there as well. So with regards to defense, pushing up hard, funneling them back into that space over there, creating a turnover, and then penalty or attacking option from that turnover. Now, similarly, Ireland does exactly the same thing, but I do not know the thinking behind their press as well as I do on South Africa. So I'm hoping to see something where, they're pressing for certain elements or trying to shut down certain players. If I was them, I'm committing 2 players on Manie Libbok, because if that ball's not getting past him, South Africa's in trouble. So with regards to the line speed, they are going to bring line speed. They do bring a bit more of a flatter line, so 10, 12, 13 push together. The wings stay a bit back in case of those chip kicks coming across, or the grubbers, or even the high balls. And they do that defensive line quite well. Both teams set defensive lines extremely quickly, and their spacing is always very good. There's very little space to exploit, or players are not slow to get into their defensive line, which creates odd gaps or those open things. That's why I'm saying I feel that especially the first half, extremely deadlock, extremely slow. We are looking for penalties to be able to convert into points on both teams. Right. Defensively, again, at scrum time and at line-out time, I think more defense is going to be massive for both teams on the defense, and both of them, again, are pretty solid. It takes a lot for one of them to mess up somewhere where I might have changed something strategically at my maul, and what teams aren't utilizing at the moment. We see how quick teams are to set defense on a maul, right? But I want to see a roll-off maul. What that means is my first receiver gets it to the ball, he fakes a maul, he gives it to a next player who's the first receiver, generally a 6, and I want him to turn his back immediately and create a second maul with players supporting there. And you'll see as soon as the defense presses this way, my maul is hitting this way. You kind of get that bit of advantage over there. Something I've also seen which both teams will use with regards to lineouts and defense and attack is, again, that first phase player coming off 12. 9 will play straight through to 12 or to a forward running off of them, because it's generally a 5-man lineout, and they'll use that to launch off of. Let's make sure that we are able to tackle and defend on that space. Maybe Sexton defends that space a bit better than what Libbok does, but I've seen Libbok also stand his man as well. Right, so yeah, that's defense over there. Not too many differences that I can see over there. I think the bigger differences we'll see is on attack. The next thing I'll be covering is key positions. So I know I traditionally go for 9s. Yes, the 9s are going to be a bit juicy, but I don't think it's going to have too much of an impact. We kind of know what both or all 4 the 9s bring off both teams. Something I want to focus on this game is fly off. I touched about it earlier. We know that we're expecting Libbok to start at 10, and we're definitely expecting Johnny Sexton to start at 10 for Ireland. And what are their differences? Now, I feel the entire game style is different. Manie Libbok is a leader on the field, but he's not the go-to leader. And not even in the backline for me. I think when Delendi is there, we are missing Lukanyo and I think he was our greatest lead in the backline, where Johnny Sexton is the leader in the backline. They expect the entire game to run off of Johnny Sexton, so there's a lot on his shoulders. And he's a fixed point when it comes to kicking. Now, there for me is the fundamental difference, and I know social media, I know South Africa, I know coaching staff has really been ripping into Manie Libbok with his kicks, but like Siya Kolisi backed him up. Cool, if he's not kicking and he's not bringing that element, the type of attack that he brings just completely surpasses his kicking. We've also seen South Africa's trying to play a bit around who else can kick, and there are many options at the moment. So yes, Johnny Sexton very solid at kicking, doesn't have quite that X factor that Manie Libbok has, and that to me is the key difference. So we'll be seeing a very good distribution play from Johnny Sexton, a very good manipulation of open space with his very, very deadly boot, right? And Manie Libbok, he's going to run into the line a few times. We've seen it from Damien Willemse as well. They enjoy taking the ball straight through to the line and using their feet, especially if they see a mismatch. Another thing Libbok does is he is a bit more flashy in the way he plays. He prides himself on his previous, touch rugby background and stuff. And yeah, they are more flashy. And, if you have ever played in Cape Town, the players of color, colored guys love their feet, love their show. They do bring this vibrance to the game. And I feel that's exactly what Manie Libbok brings to that box setup. And the best part about that type of thing is it really relates and it's reciprocated by his back three. So Arendse, Colby, when it's Willemse on 15, you can just see how well they link with each other, how well they understand each other, and they feed off of each other. I don't feel there's quite that big of a connection with regards to the Irish back trio. And it's not expected of them either. They play a very certain brand of rugby. They want to get it to their wing when there's space over there. Cross kicks are still an issue as well, but they don't bring that type of factor. I think as long as you are setting your defense line on their two wings, it's going to happen. So yeah, that's kind of the fly of things I'm looking at. I do expect Money in the Box to miss one or two kicks to posts where Johnny Sexton might get them, right? So that's a huge difference for me. That's the difference between the 6-3 or the 9-3 that I was talking about earlier. And it could decide the game at a later point. This is the gamble that South Africa is taking at 10. It might change when Andre Pollard comes back into the mix, because we know we've won an entire World Cup. We've won a Lions series basically just off Andre Pollard's boots. So yeah, I think that's an interesting key matchup over there. The other one I want to cover is the wing situation. So like I previously said, I expect Colby and Arendse to be on the wing. We know that James Lowe will be the other wing, and the wing that I keep not misplacing, his name is Hansen. Wears the white scrum cap. He played in Super Rugby. I can't remember if it was for Waratahs or for Reds. He made his move through to Ireland, never made the Australian squad, and I mean, he is kicking, he's just taking names at the moment in the Irish team. He's a go-to player. He's quick. He understands the read of the game. I'm sure he can intercept the ball. These four wings are going to be detrimental for the entire game on Saturday because of the aerial game, because of the X factors that they bring. Also, I got two bigger wings in Ireland compared to two smaller wings on South Africa. Something I've never enjoyed of Cheslin Kolbe is his tackle technique. He allows players to run into his shoulders and always get 2 or 3 meters over him, right? He can't make that dominant forward hit. And Arendse is a bit different. He really puts his body on the line with tackles. However, if we're looking at James Lowe, he's bigger, he's dominant, he brings that New Zealand style wings that we used to see in the past, and it is more physical. So I hope that our wings can take on that physicality that they do. They are also both taller than our wings, so is the aerial battle going to be so much different? This is definitely a key position I feel is going to make or break the team on both sides. As we saw on Fiji Australia, I thought Australia was going to dominate the aerial game. They didn't, and it completely fell flat for them, and Fiji took advantage and they won the game. I feel that that's pretty much something that's going to happen over here. Whoever takes advantage of the aerial game is probably going to be the victor in this game. If you ask my opinion on predictions, so it's very hard to go against my team of South Africa. Love the Bokke, it's green and gold all the way. However, I need to stick to my boots. Since the beginning of the World Cup, people have always asked me, are we ending on top? And I said, no, I feel Ireland is going to beat us. Ireland is currently ranked number 1 in the world, rightfully so. South Africa's track record against Ireland has been average. We haven't played them in the lead up to the World Cup, which is worrying as well. And I feel that we had a tough game against Scotland, not so much against Romania. And they haven't had a single tough game. They haven't played Scotland yet. So they've had easy runoffs. They've been able to experiment themselves, and their bodies aren't as tapped as South Africa at the moment. It's something that you think of as a coach. So in my personal opinion, I think Ireland is going to take this game. It is a bit controversial. I understand that. I'm probably going to get a lot of flack from my friends and my family. But there's a few reasons I think this. They are more accurate on the boot. They are a bit more well-seasoned with regards to their players as a group. They do lack a bit of depth for me, but I don't think the game is going to get into that phase where depth is going to matter. South African players, we are still experimenting. We have a few youngsters who might lack experience, especially in those heated moments. I don't think we've had this type of tight game that I'm expecting for a very long time. So I really hope that everything else off the back of how we've built up our World Cup is going to come into effect over here. Margin, guys, I'm seeing a very small game over here. I'm seeing a 18-8 or a 16-5. I'm thinking the margin will be maximum 10 points, and I can't see more than 30 points being scored for the entire match. It will take something special from the wings, again, like I said, with regards to the key positions, for something to happen on that. The defensive structures are very good. It's going to be a game of chess. Who's going to make the good strategic moves in order to win? So yeah, that's my prediction over there. Guys, thanks so much for this video. I really hope it was insightful for you. I hope that you guys understood all the terms and that you guys followed the video to the best of your ability. I really enjoyed this. It's going to be a cracker. I know it's only Saturday at 9 o'clock. I can't wait to watch. And yeah, let's see what the outcome is over there. If you have any comments, please guys throw it into the section over there. If there's any terms that you don't understand, ask. I'll re-explain, or I'll just, our comments over there. Otherwise, please like, share and subscribe my video. Thank you so much for following me on this journey. Have a great weekend.